Can you see my screen? Okay. So this is what we'll be looking at. Most of us we are please, most of us we've ventured or switched into a career as tech and UI UX designed to be precise, and most of us don't know what it is all about and what is required. So please, the class is going to be interactive. If you are in a busy place, a very noisy place, I'll comment you use the chat box so I can hear what you have to say or can see your view on this. So, what we'll be looking at today is the meaning of UI UX, UI and UX, and then we'll be looking at UX, that's the design elements, and then we'll also get questions from you. What you ask us, what has been your challenge so far? I want to believe before one's venture into this that you have actually made some research to find out what UI UX is all about and what are the requirements. So, to begin, I hope we are excited. So, we'll be looking at what the meaning of UI UX, and we've seen here that UX, which is an abbreviation for user experience, that this is the way a user feels while interacting with a product. This includes the ease of use, efficiency, and understandable. If the user feels happy, frustrated, or confused while using the product, it can be classified as user experience. Now, let me. Have you ever used an application and then the navigation on the application is not quite user friendly? Like you'll be using an app, let's say you're using a data app or you're using a banking app, and then you don't know where to navigate to buy airtime, you don't know where to navigate to make funds, or while trying to make funds, it is quite bogus. uh, that is when user experience comes. In user, the duty of a UI UX designer is to actually go through these processes. Okay, if you see enter recipients here, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about imputing uh, a, an account number before actually imputing the bank name? How do you feel about clarifying or approving that this is actually the person you are going to make a transfer to? That's me using a banking app as an example to illustrate this user experience. So for user interface, so we can see that this is the method a designer follows or use to design platforms or application, focusing on how it looks or the style. This focuses on the color, line, icons, or emojis. So in interfaces, that is, it has to do with this mobile app itself. When you enter, the first thing you see on a mobile app, that is an interface. Everything that you do on a mobile app, or even if it's a website, that is called an interface. So if you have any questions, as we proceed, you can drop it on the chat box. I will look it up. So user experiences design questions. So when trying to make a design or when trying to figure out an interface, the question you should always ask yourself is, do users really need this product? You cannot just go about designing or making an interface that designers or users, sorry, will not want to use it, or users will, like, they'll be like, ah, what is this sort of one? Have you ever, like, you've seen an app that is being, especially all these, when you enter a platform and then you see arts, all these arts of an application. So you'll be like, ah, so what a waste of data. So would users see it that way, that they're actually wasting data to actually download this particular application that's, or this particular product that you are trying to make? So do they actually want it enough that they are either pay for it, that they either pay for it, or even if it is free, would they actually spend time looking for out looking for it and learn how to use it? So let me use this Google slide as an example. We can actually see that before now we only had Microsoft Word, we had Microsoft Excel, we have Microsoft PowerPoint, but now we have Google Docs, and we have Google Slide, we have Google Sheet. Now these are platforms that, even if it were to be sold, I would be willing to pay for it. Okay, let's look at ChatGPT for an example. We have the free version and we also have the paid version. So if we look at the services that ChatGPT renders, when you pay for it as a premium version, that is ChatGPT 4, we, we can actually see that it is worth paying for it. As as a data analyst, a data scientist, you can see they actually uses this product because it can actually analyze and then tell you what this file is for, or what this data is for, on how you can, and it will actually analyze it for you instead of spending time on it. So when you are making a product, do users actually pay? Would they actually want to pay for this, or would they actually have a need to go back and learn how to use this particular product? Now when actually going into this, are you missing a key features that they will need? How about me? I want to make a transaction and I don't see where I can actually go through and then make the transaction. Is that the product I want to do? Using a banking app for an example, is that the product I want to showcase to my users? Now, if I want to buy data, I don't see where to impute the number of which data I want, the quantity that I want. Are you missing that key features while doing a design? So these are the things, as a UI UX designer, in terms of user experience, these are the things you actually have to look into when you proceed. All right, so we also have the next questions to be: are you spending time building features that will never use? There are features that users will never use. I want to believe we've had an instance of this before. Like, you have actually seen a product and then you've seen a feature, you actually press it, and then that is the only day you press it because the features there is not actually doing what you want, or what you are not even interested in such products or in such features. So how should the content be organized so that users can easily find it? Using the banking app as an example again, we can see that when going, the first thing, we call it the dashboard. The first thing we see is your amount, where to make transfer, buy data. Currently, UBA, they have actually made their banking experience so easy, so that a user can actually, okay, I don't want this to be here. He can actually remove it and then put what he wants to be there on the dashboard. So that is what I'm talking about. Spend time on features that will actually be of use to the users. Now, secondly, how should the content be organized so that I can actually find it easy to use? I don't want to see home, where about us is, things like that. Organize content. If you are using center align, use center align. If you are using left align, use left align. So whatever you are using throughout the interface should be such that a user can actually understand it, and then a user can actually find it easily. Now if you look at a website, we notice what we have on top, where we have home, about us, testimonials, portfolio, things like that. So those are things that when someone wanted to build a website, you'd be like, ah, so how do someone actually navigate to the next page? That is it. So we are talking about organizing things so that a user can actually find it easy to use. So that is why we call it the top navigation bar. That is how it is called. We can actually call it a top nav bar. So we have a bottom nav bar, we have a left nav bar, we have right, then we have top, we have centered nav bar. So things like this. So that is when it comes to a content being organized so that users can easily find it. Now, what should be the visual tone of the product? How do you present it? What are the colors you use? Those are what we mean by the visual tone of the product. How do users feel when they actually uses this product? And then how do users feel when they use the product? How do they feel when they see your product? Do they actually trust this your product? All right, I would like a reply on this. If you should see a banking app, an application, with a pink color, will you actually trust that bank? Let's say I actually decide yeah, to actually bring up or design a banking app now for UBA. Then and I put a pink color instead of the color that UBA used, the brand color to say. Now, will you actually feel free to use this design? Will you feel free, or will you trust this design to use it? Please, I need your response. You can use the chat box. Will you trust this particular design? Will you trust the interface? Will you trust the product? Will you trust the product? Please use the chat box, or you can actually unmute your mic and tell me. Will you trust the product? I think we only have two persons here. Amy, let me mention your name. Amy, will you trust the product? If you see a UBA bank app with a pink color, like the interface, you know how UBA or if or whatever bank you are using, then if you see an off color, then will you actually trust that interface to use it? Amy, Amy Ade, will you actually trust such interface? Please, are we still here or am I speaking to myself? You can use the chat box. Okay, Sunday, you won't trust it. Amy, I'm still okay. Okay, Sunday says I won't trust it, and Amy says I feel if it's the color used in the logo of the bank, then I might be okay, but if not, then it won't be. So exactly. So if the color doesn't actually blend with the color of the brand you are actually standing with or designing for, you can actually see that it's I won't trust it. You won't trust it to actually use the product. So let's proceed. So the next thing we are actually going to look at is design elements. I don't think we are going to actually spend time today since we are actually looking at. What I'm doing today is preparing your mind into this field that you are going to. When when you are in UX, to say we have UI, then we have UX. There are persons that venture into the UI, and there are also persons that venture into the UX, and there are persons that do both, and there are persons that actually do both and do other things. So when you are venturing to this into this field of career tech, into this tech, you can actually these are things you don't have to play with. So design elements, these are elements of design that are the parts that define visuals, the tools and components that a person uses to create a design. Without these elements, your design would be out of the way and it would affect your UI and UX design. Now, imagine a design as such that there is nothing, like it's just plain. Then I said, this is the design, and now put it to the net. How does that make sense? So when we are talking about elements of design, We are actually talking about those things that consequate, those things that actually makes up a design. So in the next slide, we'll be looking at these things, few of these things that actually make up some designs that we see. So when you see a design is not just a design on its own. A design is a comparison. It's a combination of things, of different elements. It's a combination of different typography, lines, shapes, space, and then what have you. So the first element is line. Now, we see that in line, when you see a design, you will see a straight line, you will see curved lines, you will see zigzags, you will see thin, you will see thick lines, you will see different type of zigzag, you see dash line. Those are types of lines that we have. So we said lines are the most basic element of design. It can be used for decorations and it can also be used for direction or a sign. Now, if you look at this entire platform, this Google slide to be precise, if you look at the top of it where we have the numbers, can you see it? We have one, two, three, and then we also have the rules on it. If you can see it, please use the and say yes, you can see it, so we can proceed. Can you see it on the Google slide? This straight line here, we have it on top, we have it by the far left of it, where we have okay, one, two, three. So that is a line. So we can see that it is being used as a ruler. It is being used to tell us, okay, this is from here to here is 1 meter, or from here is 1 centimeter, from here to here is 2 centimeter. So that is one of the elements of design, line. It is the basic element when it comes to design. In almost, let me say 99% of the designs that we see will have lines in it. So the next element is color. So in color we have our, we know our in our primary school, secondary school, we're taught colors. We know we have primary color, secondary color, we have different types of color. So when it comes, color is the most important element of design. The most important element of design, because when it comes to color, we actually feel emotion. We feel emotions. There are emotions attached to colors. Yeah, example, when we use the color red for love, we can actually, it will be very strange if someone uses yellow to symbolize this love. It will be very strange, even though the normal color for love is blue. Love signifies blue signifies love, but we are so much used to the fact that red is being used in designing love shapes, and then if someone wants to actually express affections for us. So that is it. When it comes to design, in Blazetech, we can actually see that our color is pink. So if somebody uses yellow to design for Blazetech, if in for an example, we can't actually, it doesn't signify, or it doesn't come with the brand. That is not the brand color. So since the brand color is pink, that means anything you are designing related to Blazetech, it has to have a touch of pink in it. Okay, so we proceed. The next of it is space. So we can see in this diagram, the the designer uses space to actually create this. The designer uses space to create this. You can see the first box, it now keeps a gap. The second box, if you look at it, it is the same measurement from the first box, the first line we see, to the next one. It is the same measurement. So with this, the person uses this space to actually get this environment or get this design. And when we look, if it was just one box, it wouldn't have made sense. Two box, It wouldn't have just made sense. But because of the consistency of space in this design, we can now see the the shape that it has come with, or we can now see what we have in here. All right. So we say that space, can now see that space, this is the area that a shape is taking up occupies. This refers to the background which we see the shape or the design occupying. So that is what this illustrates. So we go to the next one. We have shapes. We know our pre-shapes. We have triangle, rectangle, hexagon. So that is it. So in design, another important element of design is shape, because it gives beauty to design. It is an object that stands out from the shapes next to it because of boundaries. Different lines can come together to make shapes. So we can actually use different lines to make shapes. Okay, so when designing, you use triangle. When designing, you use rectangle. When designing, you use circle. So these things there, um they actually mean something. It is what actually make the design. It's what actually make our design stand out. So the next one we'll be looking at is scale. So this refers to the size of an element in relation to another one. It brings balance and proportion to a design. So from this our example, you can actually see the first circle that we have, which might be 5 by 5 pixel or whatever it is. So we now see the next one, sorry, the next one might be 10 by 10, the next one might be 15 by 15, 20. So we now see that this designer scaled this in such a way that it's in such a way that this we have this balance. We see the first circle is small, the second one is a little bigger, biggest, and things like that. So when it comes to scale, it is another element, another item in the element of design when designing. So we can see these shapes now brings beauty. So another way we can actually put this is that I can actually bring the bigger one to the middle and then duplicate the first three elements, the first three shapes here, and then take it to the right hand side. You can see with that I can actually make another design out of it. So when it comes to scale, you scale things and then make the most out of it to have balance and proportion. So the next one I'm going to talk about is typography. So in typography, we can see that this refers to the letter form in the essential, in the necessary order to make it both legible and attractive. A certain typography for word can push out the meaning and beauty of that word. So we can look at this typography now. This designer, the way he arranged this, ah, this is actually creativity, and then this is actually arranged in such a way that it is beautiful and then attractive. So while in preparation for this lecture, when I went through this, I saw this, and among others this captivated me, so I had to use it as an illustration. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. There's how you use text. You've passed around and then you see design, and you're like, what is going on? What is this? What is this person? Where you're supposed to use cap locks, sorry, uppercase, the person will use whatever. When I mean uppercase, I mean capital letters. The person will use whatever he or she wants to use to do the design, and then it will look somehow. So things like that, the right typography will actually make me want to actually go through the design and then make me have a feeling for it. All right, the next one, which is going to be the last one for today, is alignment. So let's look at this. The shapes that we have here. we can actually see this, and we say alignment refers to the element that gives you guidelines on which way to arrange your work to avoid a scattered design. Alignment is one element that is very necessary. So when using alignment, like when designing, the use of alignment is there. We can see the first side here, the first line that we have here, where my cursor is. We can see that the shapes there are left aligned, and then we can see the next one to be centered aligned. We can also see the last one there to be right aligned. So when designing, we have to set alignment to be one of the very necessary to me, I would say alignment is one of the most important part of design. It is one of the important elements of design. So when designing, you cannot use left align. Okay, let's say I'm designing something, then I use left align for a particular thing, and then uses center align for the next one. It will not actually make sense. So when designing, a designer has to look at, okay, which way will it make sense. So imagine this particular slide that we are on. So imagine that I used center align for my text, and then use left align. Okay, let me show you something. Let's be practical. So I'm going to work on something here. So let's say I use, look at this, my work. So when it comes to alignment, look at this. Does it, like, is it beautiful? Please use the chat box, or you can actually unmute yourself and then say, is this actually beautiful? Look at it. Does this make sense? My text is centered aligned, then my image, I have said, okay, no, I just feel I should use left or right align for my image. Does this actually make sense? Please, let's respond to this. Is this beautiful? If someone is to present this to you, will it actually make sense? Like, will you feel, how will you feel? So for most of us that okay, it is not properly aligned to the image, hence it's not beautiful. Thank you. So it is not like the what I have, the alignment, the text, and then compared to the image I have here, it doesn't make sense. So let's say I align this my image to the center as this. You can see alignment. It's now it makes sense. All right, Amy. Yes, it's not properly aligned. So you can now see this. I center align it. It actually makes sense, and then gives proportion, and then gives arrangement to the slide. Okay, so I will be sharing the slide at the end of this. Um, if you have any questions, you can ask. So I will share the slide here so that people that are here, okay, let me not, I will share it to the platform. So I'll share it to the platform. I'll share it to the platform so that people that are not here, they can actually uh, from our next class, I will be taking attendance. So if you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that is not here, please do well to inform the person that we have started, and we have started. There is no going back. So the reason, also another agenda for today's class was we are going to agree on when we are going to have our classes, since nobody actually, okay, apart from one person, weekends are not favorable to me. So I have Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays out in Jesus' name. So those three are out from 3:30. No, I have classes by that time on DevOps. So actually, your lecturer is actually, I think someone else is also lecturing your lecturer. So that's how life is. So we have come to the end of today's class, and thank you very much for attending. So it's time for questions. Do you have questions? Are there things that you really want to know about UI UX design in general? Are there things you heard about it? Is it hard? People will say, I don't, I've not had design, um, like I don't know how to design, and I feel I won't actually know what to do with when it comes to UI UX. Are there things that you've actually researched about UI UX and you feel you want clarity on it? This is the time for it. So we have the floor for it. So any question related to our class today or UI UX generally, you can use the chat box in the next 2 minutes for it. Or you can actually raise your hand and then I'll give you the approval to speak up. But if you have no question, you can actually still use the chat box and then tell me no question. Then we proceed. All right, Sunday, do you have any question? Okay, so there's no question from your end. All right, so thank you for um, having stayed with us till this time. So we'll meet again in our next class. I apologize for today. I believe maybe most people would have attended it by 2 o'clock, but for the fact that I had some challenges, so I had to move it to 30-minute time. So next time we'll keep to it, we'll keep to time. So thank you very much, Mr. Sunday, and see you in the next class. Have a nice day, and everyone. Mr. Soji.